Good morning, America. Today we're diving into a story that's as much about the future of our democracy as it is about two powerful names. It's a battle that's captured the nation's attention and sparked heated debates in living rooms, newsrooms, and the halls of power. Today, we examine a clash between two titans, President Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States, and the New York Times, often called the Gray Lady, a newspaper that has shaped public opinion for generations. Trump, known for his combative style and unfiltered rhetoric, has repeatedly accused the media of bias, going so far as to label critical coverage as fake news. He's made the press a central adversary, rallying his supporters with claims of unfair treatment. The New York Times, a pillar of American journalism for over 170 years, prides itself on holding the powerful accountable. Its reporters have broken some of the biggest stories in history, earning a reputation for fearless investigative work and a commitment to the truth. Their relationship has been fraught with public disputes, fiery headlines, and mutual criticism. Each side claims the other is undermining the very fabric of American society. Now, this tension has erupted into a historic legal battle, one that could set new precedents for how the press covers those in power. Trump claims the Times is out to destroy his reputation, accusing them of personal vendettas and political bias. Meanwhile, the Times continues to investigate his finances and conduct, arguing that the public has a right to know the truth about its leaders. This isn't just about one man or one newspaper. It's about the role of the press in a democracy, and whether journalists can do their jobs without fear of retaliation from those they cover. Should the media challenge those in power or tread carefully around the presidency? The answer could shape the boundaries of free speech and government accountability for years to come. The outcome could reshape how news is reported in America, influencing not just what stories are told, but how they're investigated and published. This is a fight over the very meaning of press freedom, a test of the First Amendment, and a moment that will echo through the history of American journalism. On September 15, 2025, President Trump's legal team filed an 85-page lawsuit in federal court against the New York Times. The legal action, announced with much fanfare, immediately sent shockwaves through both political and media circles. The lawsuit is not just lengthy, it's packed with detailed allegations and a sweeping narrative of perceived injustice. He's seeking at least $15 billion in damages, more than the Times is even worth. This staggering sum is unprecedented in media litigation, and it signals Trump's intent to make a statement that goes far beyond a simple legal dispute. The sheer scale of the demand has left legal experts and media analysts stunned, raising questions about the future of press freedom in America. The lawsuit accuses the paper of a decades-long campaign of defamation, claiming it knowingly published false information to harm Trump's reputation. According to the complaint, the Times engaged in what Trump's lawyers describe as a systematic effort to undermine his presidency and personal character, allegedly crossing the line from journalism into targeted character assassination. Trump's statement: "The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long, and that stops now." His words echoed across social media and news broadcasts, energizing his supporters and drawing fierce criticism from his opponents. The complaint also targets 4 reporters and a book publisher, making this a direct attack on individual journalists. By naming specific people, Trump's legal team is sending a clear message. No one is above accountability, not even the most prominent voices in American journalism. This is Trump's boldest legal move yet against the media, with a financial demand that could bankrupt the Times if successful. The possibility of such a landmark case has ignited debates about the balance between holding the press accountable and protecting freedom of speech. The timing, while he's in office, makes it even more extraordinary. Rarely has a sitting president launched such a sweeping legal offensive against a major news organization, raising the stakes for both the White House and the media. This isn't just a lawsuit, it's a challenge to the legitimacy of one of America's most influential news sources. The stakes are enormous, and the outcome could reshape the relationship between the presidency and the press for years to come. What triggered this lawsuit? 3 Times articles from late 2024, published during the election, scrutinized Trump's finances and personal life. Trump's lawyers say these weren't fair reporting. They were political attacks meant to damage his re-election chances. The suit also targets Lucky Loser, a book by Times reporters Russ Buettner and Suzanne Craig, which paints Trump as a failed businessman propped up by his father's fortune. The complaint singles out reporting on Trump's alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein, including a disputed birthday note. Trump denies writing the note and claims the Times didn't give him a fair chance to respond. His legal team argues the Times has abandoned objectivity, waging a vendetta to destroy his reputation. These articles and the book are at the heart of the $15 billion claim. The New York Times is fighting back hard. The paper calls the lawsuit a baseless attempt to intimidate and silence independent journalism. Publisher A.G. Sulzberger warns this is part of a dangerous trend, using courts to punish journalists for doing their jobs. The Times insists its reporting was thorough, fact-checked, and in the public interest. They argue their work is protected by the First Amendment and that journalists have a duty to scrutinize public figures. The Times frames this as a battle for the soul of American journalism. "We will not be deterred by intimidation tactics," the company declares. The paper is preparing for a long, costly legal fight, believing the future of press freedom is on the line. This isn't just about one lawsuit. It's about defending the watchdog role of the media. The stakes couldn't be higher for American journalism. This lawsuit is just the latest in Trump's escalating legal war on the media. Earlier in 2025, he sued the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch for $10 billion over Epstein coverage. He's also secured multi-million-dollar settlements from CBS, ABC, and Paramount over critical reporting. These lawsuits send a clear message. No news organization is too big to be targeted. The cost of defending against such lawsuits is enormous, even if the claims are weak. This legal barrage could chill investigative reporting, as newsrooms fear costly legal battles. Many see this as a strategy to wear down the free press through relentless litigation. The result? A more cautious, less aggressive media landscape. For Trump to win his lawsuit, he must clear a nearly impossible legal hurdle, proving what's known as actual malice. This is not just a legal technicality, it's a standard that sits at the very heart of American press freedom and public debate. The requirement is so tough that very few public figures have ever succeeded in court. The roots of this standard go back to the landmark 1964 Supreme Court case, New York Times v. Sullivan. In that case, the court ruled that public figures, like politicians and celebrities, must show that journalists either knowingly published false information or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. It's a rule designed to protect the press from intimidation and to encourage open discussion about those in power. It's not enough to prove a story was simply wrong or damaging. There must be clear evidence that the publisher acted with intentional deception or a reckless disregard for the facts. This means showing that the journalists either knew the information was false or had serious doubts about its truth and published it anyway. Trump's legal team will need to dig deep, searching for internal emails, memos, or other communications that might reveal the Times knew their reporting was false or ignored obvious warning signs. Without a smoking gun, this is a daunting task. This high bar exists for a reason. It's meant to protect free speech and ensure that powerful officials can't use lawsuits to silence their critics or intimidate the press. The principle is fundamental to American democracy. Most legal experts agree that meeting this standard is extremely difficult. In fact, the vast majority of similar cases brought by public figures have failed, reinforcing just how protective the law is of journalistic freedom. The First Amendment gives broad protection to journalists, especially when they're reporting on public figures and matters of public concern. This allows the press to investigate, criticize, and hold leaders accountable without fear of constant legal retaliation. Courts have consistently upheld the need for robust, even uncomfortable, debate in a democracy. The law recognizes that open criticism, even if harsh or mistaken, is essential for a healthy society. For Trump, this means he faces an uphill battle. Proving actual malice is not just difficult, it's a challenge that has defeated many before him. The odds are stacked against him, and the outcome of this case could have lasting implications for press freedom and the boundaries of public debate in America. Trump's history of suing the media is mixed at best. In 2023, he lost a $100 million suit against the Times over its Pulitzer-winning investigation into his finances. He also lost a $475 million defamation case against CNN. The court ruled their coverage was protected opinion, not defamatory fact. These losses highlight how hard it is for public figures to win defamation cases under U.S. law. Courts distinguish between fact and opinion. Only provably false statements can be defamatory. Still, recent settlements with CBS, ABC, and Paramount have changed the dynamic. Even without courtroom victories, the threat of expensive, high-profile lawsuits can pressure media companies to settle. Trump's mixed record sets the stage for this high-stakes showdown with the Times. The legal and financial risks for news organizations have never been higher. Legal and journalism experts are sounding the alarm. First Amendment attorney Floyd Abrams calls the lawsuit ridiculous as a matter of law, but extraordinarily dangerous as a matter of national policy. Advocacy groups warn that lawsuits like this are meant to intimidate, not necessarily to win. The goal forced news organizations to spend time and money defending themselves, chilling tough reporting. Trump has long criticized the actual malice standard and wants to make it easier to sue the press. Even if he loses, the lawsuit draws attention to his campaign against press protections. Experts say this case is a direct challenge to the legal foundation of American journalism. The fear, a less informed public, and a government with less accountability. When the most powerful person in the country sues the press, it sends a chilling message. The future of investigative journalism is at stake. This case is about more than money or reputation. It's a test for American democracy. If dismissed, it reaffirms strong First Amendment protections and the press's watchdog role. If it goes to trial or ends in a settlement, it could embolden politicians to sue critical news outlets, leading to self-censorship. The lawsuit forces a national debate. Is the press a vital check on power or an adversary to be silenced? The outcome will shape how journalists investigate and report on the powerful. The stakes: free speech, transparency, and an informed citizenry. This is a defining moment for the future of American journalism. The nation and the world are watching.